Hi, I'm Willem. Have you ever planned to do something special for someone, but it didn't go exactly the way you wanted? Say, for instance, you wanted to make your mom a really nice breakfast for Mother's Day, but you burnt the toast or you overcooked the eggs? Did she still appreciate the fact that you did something nice for her? People often say it's the thought that counts, and today, we're going to see how God looks at us and who we are. Let's watch this God story, and you'll see what I mean.
So my sister bet me $100 that I couldn't build a car out of spaghetti. You should have seen the look on her face when I drove pasta. I can't do that. Hi everyone, it's Michelle. Nice to see you. Let me tell you about this time when I was going to this event and I really wanted to look good because this guy that I really liked was there. So I put on all my best makeup, my best outfit, everything to look perfect for him. But when we got to the event, it ended up being at a carnival. So I ended up getting dirty, sweaty, and having to run around the entire day, and nothing that I did for him even mattered in the end. Sometimes we obsess so much on the way we are on the outside, the way we look, the way we talk to people, but with God, it's the complete opposite. Although He cares what we do, God cares more about what's in our heart. And that leads me to today's big idea. God cares about what's on the inside. So today's story comes from Genesis 4, and it's actually about Adam and Eve's kids. So let me set it up for you. In the beginning, God created everything, and He had this beautiful, amazing garden where He would actually hang out with Adam and Eve, and He loved it, and it was perfect. So Adam and Eve only had one rule, and guess what? They broke it. So unfortunately, sin got between them and God. So because of that, they got kicked out of the garden. But don't worry, God had an amazing rescue plan that He set in motion. But Adam and Eve had to leave the garden and start a family in a not so perfect place where they had to work really hard to survive. Adam and Eve had two sons, Cain and Abel. Cain was a farmer and Abel was a shepherd. One day, Cain decided to bring an offering to the Lord of some things he'd grown. So Abel also decided to bring God an offering. But here's the difference. He gave God his absolute best. He gave Him the best, most fatty, excellent sheep that he had. He gave God his best. God was pleased with Abel's offering because it came from a place of love. It came from his heart. When Cain learned that God wasn't pleased with his offering, he became angry and sad. So let's read what happens next. "Why are you so angry?" the Lord asked Cain. "Why do you look so dejected? You will be accepted if you do what is right. But if you refuse to do what is right, then watch out. Sin is crouching at the door, eager to control you, but you must subdue it and be its master." God was being loving to Cain because He knew his heart was filled with anger and bitterness. But Cain wanted to do his own thing. His heart was filled with sin, and he just didn't listen to God. He said to Abel, "Let's go out to the field." And like brothers do, of course he went with him, but Cain attacked him and killed him. So Cain's actions came from his heart, and his heart was filled with sin, anger, and bitterness. When sin, anger, and bitterness are in our hearts, it can lead to violence and bad actions. That's why Cain killed Abel. A little while later, God said to Cain, "Where's your brother?" Cain was still angry, so he straight up lied to God. Cain said, "I don't know. Am I supposed to take care of my brother?" But who was Cain kidding? God knew exactly what happened. God responded, "What have you done? Listen, your brother's blood is crying out to me from the ground, so I'm putting a curse on you." Just like any good parent, God punished Cain. But just like any of us kids, Cain complained about his punishment. Cain thought the punishment was way more than he can take, and he thought that if anybody found out what he did, they would kill him. But in His mercy, God protected Cain because He's a loving and merciful Father. But God still punished Cain for his actions, so he had to go away. So after this, Adam and Eve had another son named Seth. Cain went on to have his own family, and they chose their own way instead of God's way. Seth also had his own family, and they chose God's way and worshiped God. Right when God offered correction to Cain, Cain had a choice to make. He could either go God's way that was filled with life and good things, or he could go his own way that was led out of sin, anger, and bitterness. Because God knows us inside and out, He was gracious with Cain and offered him direction. But when it came down to it, it was Cain's choice how he wanted to act, and Cain chose death. Literally. Remember when I told you that I was dressing really nice to impress a guy? Well, see, that was just me focusing on what was on the outside, when it's what's on the inside that actually counts. If you're upset or angry with someone, talk to them about it. Get that hurt and anger out of your heart. Trade it in for love and forgiveness. If you're doing something to impress people or you want them to think that you're cool, check yourself. What's really going on in your heart? Is that what God desires for you, or is it something else? In the Old Testament, we see that Solomon, the wisest guy of all time, wrote, "Guard your heart above all else, because it determines the course of your life." This was true for Cain, and it's true for us too. Our actions, our words, our behavior, they all come from what's in our hearts. So when we put Jesus in our heart and allow him to fill us, we get filled with the fruit of the Spirit. That's love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. Let's take time each day to check our hearts and get rid of the junk, because God cares about what's on the inside. It was great hanging out with you this week. I'll see you next time.
Did you notice that God had mercy on Cain because he cared about what was going on in Cain's heart? I want to share a story with you that shows what her friend Ava went through when she went to high school. She thought that people might see her and judge her, and what she came to realize over time. Check this out.
When I look in the mirror, I see a girl with brown hair, brown eyes, someone who loves school, is confident some days, kind of insecure the next, and I'm kind of in that in-between phase between being a kid and an adult. What I've learned from looking in the mirror is that what's on the inside doesn't always match what's on the outside. As teenagers, a lot of us experience a lot of pressure to perform well in school, to get good grades. Some of us have a part-time job, thinking about college and university and what comes after high school. And on top of that, we're also figuring things out internally, so it's a lot to have on us. I know this because I went through it, and I'm still dealing with some of it. When I first started high school, I was really concerned about what people would think of me, if they would judge me for the clothes that I wore, how I acted. I was really concerned about that. I was actually so stressed about this that I remember a week before I went to high school, I was trying on different outfits, planning things, changing it up last minute. I was so stressed. So I read that people's first impression of you is their judgment, and then the second impression is their option to correct that judgment and get to know the real you. So I wanted to make a good first impression because I thought that that would be the label on me for the rest of my high school career. On my first day of high school, I got changed, I got to school with my new outfit that I had planned so early on, and the whole day I was just fiddling with my clothes, fiddling with my hair, because I was so insecure that something had changed. Maybe I had chosen the wrong outfit. Sometimes you can feel like you're under a spotlight, like everyone's looking at you and paying attention to you and noticing all your flaws, but in reality, everyone else is going through the same thing. I started off by wearing really nice jeans and tops, but then I went through this phase where I just wore things that weren't so form-fitting, so gray sweatshirts and black pants. I really just didn't want anyone to think that I cared too much, but I also didn't want them to think that I was sloppy. So I just found that middle ground that wasn't really me. It took me about a year, maybe even a year and a half to kind of transition out of that middle ground phase where I realized that it shouldn't matter what I wear. Because if you're putting on this fake image of yourself, you're gonna make fake relationships because you were not yourself. So if you're acting yourself, you're gonna make friends with people who accept you for who you are, and that makes you so much happier. Some people didn't transition out of that phase. Some people don't find themselves, and they are not happy on the inside, and you can see it. Sometimes they even resort to drugs or self-harm to fit in, or they don't feel like they fit in, so they put on that fake persona so they can. Where I am at now is I know that God sees me for who I am on the inside. So no matter if I'm wearing sweatpants and a sweatshirt or nice jeans or a dress, he sees me for the same person. And I know that he sent me the right friends and my family to accept me for who I am. So I'm a lot comfortable with myself. And I know that a lot of the time I feel more insecure some days, which is totally normal because your outer image does still affect you. and there's no escaping that. But it's just a matter of becoming more comfortable every day with yourself. So some days I'll wear something and I'll be like, I don't feel so great in this, so I might change. And then the next week I'll feel perfectly fine in that outfit. And that's okay. It's something that you have to work through, but it's a reality. I realize that God sees us for who we are on the inside, and we don't have to be good at math or be good at soccer or dress a certain way for Him to love us. I recently had a school project where we were challenged to make an ad, and since this is a topic close to my heart, I decided to make one about being comfortable with who you are. So here it is, and I hope you enjoy it.
I think many of us can identify with what Ava went through. We're super aware of what other people might think, and we act based on that. But there's also a lot we can learn from Ava's experience as well. God looks at our hearts and what's on the inside. And once we're good with that, we can be ourselves and live for Him, and then it doesn't really matter what other people think. Let's break into our small groups and see what this might look like in our stories.